All right. In the interest of time, we're going to get rolling here. So my name is Nicholas Griffith, and I am on the scholarship committee this year, and it is my absolute pleasure to present 2016 scholars today. We had over 100 applicants, and these are the absolute cream of the crop. So to punish them for that fact, we're having them do lightning talks this morning. So if you thought the Ignite talks were hard, those are 5 minutes. These are 3.5. So please give them all the love and encouragement that they deserve. And with that, we'll kick it off with Luke.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming. My name is Luke. I'm the Exhibits and Design Manager at the BTB Biodiversity Museum in Vancouver, British Columbia. And I'm here today to talk to you about our project called 100 Years, 100 Treasures, and the collaborative process that kind of made it all happen. So we're located on the campus of the University of British Columbia, and 2015 was a pretty big year for us. It was the 100th anniversary of the university and the 100th anniversary of what's the beginning of our herbarium collection, and it was the museum's 5th birthday. So to celebrate, we launched a project called 100 Years, 100 Treasures. And through that project, we would find the top 100 specimens in the collection and allow the public to vote on their favorites, which would form the basis for a special exhibit that would be on display at the museum for a year. So the first step in this process was figuring out what are the top 100 treasures out of the 2.1 million specimens in the collection. So that took quite a bit of collaboration between the curators across all 6 of our departments and the marketing team and the exhibits team. So once that was all settled, the next step was to photograph them and get them all on this website, bdtreasures.com. Now, just prior to this, the photos were also sent out to select members of the public to provide their own feedback and inspiration on the treasures. So people responded with stories, songs, recipes, poetry, anything that kind of spoke to them about the pieces. They sent it back to us, and all of this was compiled on the website as well. So if you were to click on an image here, you'd be brought to a site with the write-up from the public who got that piece, and then you could vote on this if this was your favorite one. So that's the first phase of the exhibit, is the voting campaign. We set up a kind of an election-style voting booth in the museum. People could browse that catalog and vote. You could also vote by paper ballot, which you received at the admissions desk. And an online marketing campaign kicked off as well to help spread the word, elect our next exhibition. So the voting process took place over 4 months, and at the end of that, we compiled all the votes and figured out who were the top 10. And that was the next phase of our exhibit. So here we have all 100 treasures represented in these photo banners along the wall, but then of course the much anticipated top 10 treasures in the flesh and bone, as selected by the public on display as well. There was a social media feature I included here too, hashtag MyBTTreasures, so the public could continue to contribute their favorite specimens in the collection by tweeting at us or posting them on Instagram with the hashtag, and their posts would actually stream live in the exhibit on a screen. So they're continuing to contribute to the content and the visual aesthetic of the exhibit to keep that collaboration with the public going. So that's about it in a nutshell. For a pretty young museum, this was huge strides forward in terms of collaboration with each other and participatory elements. So it really changed everything, how we approach projects going forward. Now, I know you're all dying to know what was the top voted specimen in the entire collection. Out of 2 million specimens, these little guys, the 3-spined stickleback fish. And since I'm out of time, if you want to know what makes them so cool, you can come talk to me after. Thank you very much.
Morning, everyone. I'm Julia Falkowski. I'm the web and interactive media producer at the Balboa Park Online Collaborative. We're a nonprofit in San Diego that serves 17+ museums in the park and beyond with technology services. And I'm going to be talking today about our project, Museum at Your Fingertips, which used a Beam Pro telepresence robot, hence the name of this presentation, to test the ability of this telepresence technology to provide tours in schools that were either underfunded or too far away to do field trips in local museums. So to give you a brief overview, I'm going to show a really quick video clip here. And let's see. And if you're tweeting along, we use the hashtag EduBeam as a series of Twitter conversations that corresponded with this project. All right, so that gives you a quick overview of what the project was like. You may still be wondering what a telepresence robot is. I describe it briefly as Skype on wheels. It is a remote-controlled robot. You control it from your computer. It has speakers, it has a camera, it has a microphone, and it has a live video feed of the driver's face. And it started in the business world generally, but it quickly was adopted by accessibility advocates, and it's been tested in schools and hospitals, and it's even made its way into popular culture with plot points on The Big Bang Theory and Modern Family. Again, our project specifically was testing it in schools, and it was an IMLS Sparks-funded project that we undertook along with the San Diego Air and Space Museum. And the initial grant idea was to have a companion website that showed the museum space so that students had a better idea of what it was they were seeing and had a more grounded idea of what the space was like. So you can see on the slide here the website that we ended up with. There were a few challenges we encountered along the way, including GPS functionality, incorporating that into the website, and doing a video feed of the driver's side along with the website. So it had to be two windows side by side, as you see in the slide there. We had an educator walk along with the beam, as you see in the picture, and we gave it a flight jacket to personify it a little bit so that it wasn't so alien looking in the gallery. We ended up testing in 7 schools, 10 classrooms in grades 3 through 6, and got a variety of feedback both from students and teachers. One of the most significant student comments was that they wish they could be in the museum right now. So even though there was this technology, it really turned out to be an alternative to an in-person visit rather than the first line of offerings. Teachers said it has the potential to be a tool and a huge success, but they also mentioned that on the needs improvement side that it could be improved by giving students more to physically do during the tour, whether that was typing questions in or giving them objects that were collections-like. So just to wrap up briefly, this has the potential for use in museums beyond this. It was a successful grant project, and we're looking for ways to extend the project's life.
Morning, everyone. I'm Ginia Sweeney. I'm the coordinator of museum interpretation at the High Museum of Art in Atlanta, Georgia. And last year, I worked on a really fun project to extend the life of an aging app. The High Museum of Art introduced our free mobile app, ArtClicks, in 2011. It functioned as an additional layer of interpretation for our special exhibitions. We were really proud of it, and it actually won a number of awards back in 2011. ArtClicks functioned based on photo recognition technology that would identify works of art as photographed by visitors. It then delivers additional information, both text and audio, about the object in question. ArtClicks also featured a community where visitors could share their own reactions to artwork. And here you're seeing some screenshots of the original design of ArtClicks. Our audience responded very well to the app, but by 2015 it was 4 years old and it was starting to feel pretty dated. We were also beginning an institutional shift towards greater promotion of our permanent collection. So we decided to redesign the app so that it would feel more modern and up to date. At the same time, we would shift the content away from our special exhibitions. And this is actually a screenshot of someone using the app during our Picasso to Warhol exhibition borrowed from the Museum of Modern Art. So I wish this was in our collection, but it's not. So we would shift the content away from special exhibitions and towards our permanent collection. So we embarked on this big project to redesign ArtClicks while keeping some of the successful functions and the back end pretty much intact. We worked with our amazing partners, Second Story, they're a digital storytelling firm, to create a new engaging design that felt much more of the moment. We also introduced a new logo that you can see all the way on the right, which is printed on the labels of works of art included in the app. So this lets visitors know which works that they can photograph to find out more information. Overall, the new design makes the app experience feel fresh and new. Although the app looks completely different from the previous version, the back-end content management system created for us by Second Story is almost exactly the same as it was 5 years ago. We also took the opportunity of the redesign to introduce some fun new functions, and one of these was what we call Hi-moji. These allow visitors to respond emotionally to works of art. So for some visitors, typing out an original comment can feel kind of intimidating. So we wanted visitors to be able to more directly share how works of art made them feel. And when we were working with Second Story to develop this palette of Hi-moji, we made sure to include both positive and negative reactions because we wanted to affirm those as being equally valid. And we actually introduced this Hi-moji feature a couple months before Facebook rolled out their reactions. So we were pleased to be on the cutting edge of this kind of zeitgeisty idea. Finally, the redesign of ArtClicks allowed us to introduce a new video capability so that we could introduce the artist's voice to the gallery. So we launched a series of 1.5 to 2 minute videos of artists speaking about works of art in our collection. And through anecdotal feedback, we've learned that this really helps people with kind of abstract, abstruse artworks. It allows them to find a way in. With the rapid pace of change in mobile technology, ArtClicks could easily have become totally obsolete a couple of years ago. So the process of revamping the app has given it a new life. It directs visitors to engage with works of art in our permanent collection, to share their reactions with each other, and to connect with artists through our new video series. Thank you very much.
Hi everyone, my name is Lene Spruce and I work at the Smithsonian African American Museum. The museum opened a little over 30 days ago on the National Mall. How did we get our visitors excited about using social media as the Smithsonian's first museum to open in the age of social media? Our goal was to create an experience that anyone could understand and enjoy. Overall, 73% of African Americans use social media. When you look at the ages 18 to 29, that rate goes up to 96%. Our main goals are behind me for using social media, and we also wanted our visitors to connect with the museum in a meaningful way. Our strategy focused on not only showing American history through the African American lens, but also allowing anyone to locate themselves and their families within that history. Overall, A People's Journey had 940 million impressions on Twitter alone. When we added in YouTube, blogs, comment sections, that went up to 1.7 billion impressions overall. Over 88,000 tweets were sent by 43,000 people, and the hashtag trended on Twitter all day. One of our main strategies for using social media was our digital storytelling initiative. What we were able to do was to offer a behind-the-scenes look at our grand opening, get up and close and personal with influencers, and basically provide a front row seat to our dedication ceremony for visitors who weren't able to participate in person. Another one of our key strategy elements was our influencer outreach. What we did was reach out to museums and cultural institutions across the nation, as well as influencers on Black Twitter, to provide opportunities for them to engage with the museum. They were able to come visit the museum before we opened our doors to the public. We distributed a social media toolkit and offered them curated moments like Twitter's activation tools with the Using the Mirror. There we go. In addition, we also worked with every major social media platform to figure out how to engage users on their sites. Twitter curated Twitter moments for us. They also provided activation tools like the Twitter Mirror to engage our influencers. Snapchat sent out a rep to create a live story while also creating custom Snapchat filters for visitors. In addition, Instagram created a live story hosted by Ava DuVernay, and they also were able to host our first Insta Meet featuring Senator Cory Booker and Senator Scott, the nation's only African American senators. Facebook provided a live video team that helped us coordinate with our other Smithsonian sister museums in the Pass the Mic initiative that introduced our museum to Smithsonian audiences, in addition to providing support for growth. Another one of Oh no, my slide is missing. Okay. Another one of our key elements was our social media engagement tent. This was the Smithsonian's first experiential marketing tool on the National Mall. Inside of that tent, we had 360 photo booths, an Instagram portrait studio, as well as a postcard mailing station for people to use low tech. Overall, 10,000 visitors were able to experience that in-person activation on the National Mall. It's my hope that we'll continue to use a people's journey to share American history through the African-American lens and to continue to allow people to locate themselves in that story. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. My name's Emilia. I'm from the Science Museum in London. I'm a digital learning producer. However, this presentation is about a project I developed in my previous role at the British Museum. So last year, the learning and digital teams at the British Museum were tasked with developing a reimagining of the existing children's audio guide. So Adventure Cards was the outcome of that, and that is basically a game-based guide. Families share a single device, pass it round, move around the museum and explore individual objects. My role in this project was as editorial manager, so this presentation is very much focused on the content side of things. So my first task was to select the objects to be included in the game. In the British Museum, at any given moment, there tends to be around 80,000 objects on display. I had to select 72, so, oh dear. So the selection policy I used included considerations like representing a range of cultures from around the world, a balance of gender, and also a range of interests. So thinking about objects within themes like animals, food, games, myths, and legends. In the game, family members take it in turns to assume the role of the games master, and they set each other challenges based on objects. We came up with 6 different types of challenges. We hope there's something there for everyone, a range of age ranges and kind of personal preferences. I'll just take you through a few examples of some of these challenges. So Imagine is designed to promote kind of like creative, introspective thinking. So if you were looking at the statue of Ramesses II, you might think about what would you build so that people would remember you forever? Pose is a physical challenge, so could you make a face like the Easter Island statue? So with sound, you might be looking at a statue of the laughing Buddha, so could you make a sound like, how could you laugh like the Buddha? Hunt is about searching for something hidden in an object, so looking at a vase covered in images of Greek gods, could you find Poseidon? He's got a tail like a fish. To get the right kind of dwell time around each object, we devised 5 challenges for each object. So that meant we had to write 360 challenges. In terms of the process, everything lived in this gigantic multi-tab Google spreadsheet. So we authored and edited here. We went through a process of approval from the curators at the museum and also the interpretation team. And from here, the content was migrated across to the CMS. I think it goes without saying that it's impossible to know how people will react to content until you test it with them, particularly people from around the world, and we have visitors from around the world at the British Museum. So all the testing and the iteration fed into the content right up till the night before launch, really. And finally, I'll just say just how rewarding it was, and also nerve-wracking to see real people enjoying our content, and seeing the kinds of experiences that facilitated in the museum. Thank you.
Hi, this is Gotta Get That Gram, Instameets at Women in the Arts. My name's Emily Haight. I'm the digital editorial assistant and social media manager at the National Museum of Women in the Arts in Washington, D.C. So right now, the museum is going through a rebranding process, and we were hoping to tap into some audiences, many of whom had never been to the museum before. So we hooked up with the IGDC community, Instagram DC, also because we don't have a staff photographer, and they take way better photos than we do. So we started trying to host these kind of informal, small gatherings at the museum to take photos and share them on social media. So the bare necessities of this, it's a very flexible framework, but we found that it helps to have an engaging theme. So we've organized it around the architecture of the building, our recent exhibitions. We also did an Instameet for International Women's Day in collaboration with our hashtag 5WomenArtists campaign in Women's History Month. It also helps to have empty galleries, so you actually feel like you are in a special place. We always have a guided tour, usually by one of our associate curators, who gives a kind of 20-minute tour, and then we also leave time for exploration. In addition, you can add on to the conversation, so we've kind of played with our model a little bit by adding different elements every time. Because our Instameets are before the normal working day, so it's about 9 to 10 in the morning. We haven't had an Instameet on the weekends yet. We like to give people coffee and snacks, and because we're the Women's Museum, we've officially embraced making cookies and presenting them at these events. So we have some that are related to the objects in our collection or have our building on them, depending on the theme of the event. It also helps to have some star power. Our most recent Instameet was for our new exhibition, No Man's Land, women artists from the Rubel family collection. So collectors Don and Mira Rubel came to talk to the participants and kind of show them around to some of their favorite works in the galleries. After the Instameets, we repost our favorites and then often send those participants prizes. We also send out surveys to kind of get feedback and inform our next event. I had to include this because it's one of the works on view in No Man's Land. It is a life-size mannequin that has been retrofitted to be a nutcracker, inspired by the 2008 Hillary Clinton nutcracker. The work is called Lisa by Jennifer Rubel. So things often get a little nutty day of, so we've learned to just be flexible. I really rely on my team, especially our communications manager, I believe is her title now, and a cross-departmental social media team that helps to put this kind of thing together. We always communicate the challenges of the event afterwards and learn for the next time. So overall, we've had 4 Instameets so far. Our next one I'm hoping to do on a weekend so more people can come, because I know everyone else has that 9 to 5 day job. But these are the hashtags we've used so far, and we've had a total of 444 posts, and also new advocates for the museum, people who hadn't been before but really enjoyed it. And thank you.
Good morning. I guess I'm the anchor of this really fantastic session. I want to take a few minutes and share with you some work we did to image Aboriginal rock art in Australia using a 3D technique called photogrammetry. My name is Carla Schroer, and I'm with a small nonprofit called Cultural Heritage Imaging. So the site is located in Western Australia, and on this little peninsula, we were working with the Murrujuga National Park and also with a team from the University of Western Australia in Perth on this project. The site itself is really a stunningly beautiful location. It is really, really hot most of the year, and so we were fortunate to be there in the dead of winter in July because it was actually quite pleasant. The site mostly has rock that is very hard, volcanic rock, and it's just in these big tumbled down piles. Starting in the 1960s, there's industrialization that came into the area, and the estimate is that about 15% of the rock art has been lost at this point, though it's much better protected now than it was at that time. The site contains a wide variety of motifs, geometric patterns, animal motifs. There's also quite a bit of anthropomorphic material, but we were asked not to image or share those kind of glyphs from the site. So here's the basic equipment that we were using. This is the kit we had out with us. It's essentially a camera with a wide-angle lens, a monopod with a ball head, and some calibrated scale bars. And the scale bars allow us to add real-world measurement into our projects. I have a little video here of one of the glyphs. This is a kangaroo that has a spear in the back of it. And this took about 20 minutes to take the images. It's about 25 images. And when we put them together, the blue rectangles represent where the cameras were. We can get a very high resolution model of the surface. And so we shot about 25 of these models in a few days on the site. Here's some examples of some of the glyphs that we found in different areas. It's really gorgeous. This site is considered to have the densest rock art collection in one site in the world. There's an estimate that there's over 1 million glyphs in this site. The rock art goes back at least 30,000 years, possibly as far as 40,000 years, and was continually made in the site up until modern times. I have another short video here, which is of a standing stone. This is on one of the little islands right near the peninsula. There are a number of these stones that were placed upright and chucked into position. And so this one, it took about 30 minutes to shoot it. It's about 65 images. And I essentially just walked around with the camera in different ways on the site, and I collected about 4 meters of the area of data there. So why did we choose 3D? Why 3D in a site like this? Essentially, it allows us to do real-world measurement. It allows us to monitor if there's wear or erosion to the site. It's a safeguard against damage or destruction. And also, there's a large interest in producing replicas that can help people that can't get out to the site. And there's a lot more information about photogrammetry on our website, culturalheritageimaging.org. Thank you.
So I'll just say it, that was fucking awesome. Thank you guys so much for doing this. We have about 2 minutes left. Are there any questions from the audience? Thank you so much for coming, guys. That was a really job well done. Yeah. Thank you.